everyone. So in this video I'm going to go over the PowerPoint, which was the course review PowerPoint here in this week's module. We're just kind of wrapping everything up and preparing for the final exam essay that you'll have in the last week. And I want to take just a little bit of time to go through everything that we've covered throughout the course, not only to remind you of each lesson so that you can create the strongest essay possible, but also to show you how everything progressed throughout the term and how it's all going to come together in order for you to write the best final exam essay that you possibly can, right? So, for that final exam essay, right, what is it going to be? I've mentioned it before, but just as a reminder, you're going to choose either your evaluation paragraph from writing assignment 1 or your compare-contrast paragraph from writing assignment 2. You are going to, whichever one you choose, you're going to expand on those ideas and create a 5-paragraph essay. If you did well on your paragraph, you won't have to change much. You're just going to be adding to what's already there. Okay? You're going to choose one of them and expand on what you already have to create a 5-paragraph essay. Now, you're going to complete an outline as a homework assignment, and that homework assignment, in the instructions there will be a video where I go through the outline and explain what you're supposed to do in detail. So I'm not going to get into a lot more about that assignment or the essay itself in this video, because I'm going to do that in another video. But this is just sort of a preview to let you know what's coming, what that final exam will look like. And then the rest of this PowerPoint is just reminding you of all the things that you're going to need to make sure you do in that essay. Okay? So, if you choose to do your evaluation paragraph from writing assignment 1, remember the key to a successful evaluation essay is in your judgment and criteria. That thesis statement that has your judgment and your criteria is crucial. It's the backbone of your essay. If you're going to choose the evaluation paragraph to turn into an essay, you should go back and review the lesson on exemplification and evaluation in the week 5 module, just to make sure that you remember exactly how to write that type of essay. And the PowerPoint was really geared towards that single paragraph, but it applies even if you're writing a whole essay. Everything still applies. You can also reread the sample essay Chili Time that you read for homework in week 8. There was also a follow-up video provided. So use that as a guide to help you structure your essay. And make sure you use the feedback that I gave you on your evaluation paragraph to help you plan for the essay. If I told you you didn't have a good topic sentence, that means you're going to have to come up with a good thesis statement, because the topic sentence of your paragraph, if it was a good one, you can now use that as your thesis statement in your introductory paragraph. But if you didn't have a good topic sentence to start with, now you got to kind of work on that to make sure you get a good thesis statement for the essay. If I told you that you had really good criteria and you supported them well, then you know, okay, I'm good. I can use these for my essay. I just have to add more examples to each one, right? So use my feedback on the paragraph to sort of figure out what you might need to work on for the essay. Okay? Remember the basic outline for an evaluation essay. You're going to have your introductory paragraph, and at the end of that introductory paragraph, you're going to have a thesis statement. That thesis statement should be a sentence that tells us what your topic is, tells us what your judgment is, and lists your criteria. Your first body paragraph is going to discuss criteria number 1, the first one that you listed in the thesis statement. The second body paragraph is going to discuss the second criteria that you listed in the thesis statement. The third body paragraph is going to discuss the third criteria that you listed in the thesis statement. Your concluding paragraph is going to wrap things up and give us a final thought. This is an evaluation essay, if you're choosing this one, so that final thought should probably be some sort of recommendation. If you're giving it a good review, if you have given something a bad review, then it would be more of a warning than a recommendation. But that would be sort of where your final thought should go, because it's a review, right? Okay. Remember, the key to a successful compare-contrast essay lies in your organization and making sure all sections match up with each other. So if you choose to use your compare-contrast paragraph as the basis for your final exam essay, go back and review the lesson on compare-contrast in week 6, especially the slides on organization and support. Also reread the sample essays that you read for homework, Parenting 101 and Singapore and Trinidad. Remember, Parenting 101 is an example of the one side at a time approach, and Singapore and Trinidad is an example of the point-by-point approach, right? So whichever method you're choosing to go with, you can go back and read that sample essay as a refresher and a guide for how to structure your essay. And then finally, if you're choosing your compare-contrast paragraph to turn into an essay, go back and reread my feedback on that paragraph. And that can give you a little bit of guidance in terms of what you might need to work on or what you did really well that you can then sort of transfer over to help you build the final exam essay. Okay? Alright, so remember there's 2 methods to organize a compare-contrast. So we're going to look at one side at a time first, just a basic outline. So you're going to have your introductory paragraph with your thesis statement. That thesis statement is going to tell us what your 2 subjects are, and it's going to let us know if you're going to be focusing on the similarities or if you're going to be focusing on the differences. Your first body paragraph is going to be subject A, your first subject. And you're going to have probably at least 3 ideas, 3 main things that you're going to look at with subject A. Your next body paragraph is going to discuss subject B, and you're going to discuss the same 3 main ideas on subject B as you did for subject A. So you make sure everything matches up in the same order even, right? It's almost like a formula. You know, if you think about how it's supposed to be structured, the outline, it's like a formula. If you follow the formula, it may not be the most fantastic piece of writing ever created, but it's going to get the job done. And that's all you really can hope for. Make sure you're following the formula. Make sure you're using these outlines to help you organize your essay. The conclusion will include your final thought, which should be a reminder of your thesis statement, just reminding us of what your overall purpose was. The next slide shows you the basic outline for the point-by-point approach for compare-contrast. So again, your introductory paragraph will contain a thesis statement, and that thesis statement is going to let us know what your 2 subjects are, and if you're focusing on the similarities or if you're focusing on the differences. That won't really change between the 2 types. The first body paragraph for this version, though, will look at the first main point, the first similarity or difference that you're focusing on. And you're going to describe how subject A relates to that idea, and then how subject B relates to that main idea. Then you're going to go to the second one. So the next body paragraph will be your second main point, looking at the second similarity, or the second difference. How does it apply to subject A, and how does it apply to subject B? And then you move on to the next body paragraph, which will be the third main point, the third similarity or difference. How does it apply to subject A? How does it apply to subject B? Making sure everything's matching up. Again, follow the formula. And then your concluding paragraph with your final thought, just a reminder of your thesis and closing out the essay. That won't really change either, no matter which method you use. So your introductory paragraph and your concluding paragraph are going to be pretty much the same, whether you use one side at a time or point by point. What will be different is the middle section of your essay, your body paragraphs. But again, whichever method you choose to use, whether it's one side at a time or point by point, use these outlines, use the formula to help you structure your essay. Okay? And then, don't forget about essay basics, right? You want to make sure you're doing the evaluation part right, or the compare-contrast part right, but you also have to make sure that you just have the basic essay elements that are supposed to be there no matter what kind of essay you're writing. Introductory paragraph. Make sure you grab the reader's attention, introduce the topic, and provide a thesis statement. Remember, the thesis statement is not a sentence fragment, and it is not a question. It must be one single declarative sentence that contains the essay's main idea and your main points. If you can do that, your thesis statement is solid. Don't forget about body paragraphs. Each one should begin with a transitional topic sentence. And again, use those sample essays we read for homework last week that all three of them had great transitional topic sentences in their body paragraphs. Use those to help you create your own. Make sure that each body paragraph contains specific and adequate support. Explain and give examples. Make sure that you are using transition words or phrases to help create coherence. It shouldn't just be like random sentences, one right after another in the paragraph, and I could just mix them all around and the order doesn't matter. That's not good. There should be transitions that tie everything together, that sort of lead us from thought A to thought B to thought C. Everything should flow smoothly so that you have coherence. And each body paragraph should end with a concluding sentence that reminds us of that paragraph's focus. Because in the next paragraph, you're moving on to a new idea. Okay? Your concluding paragraph, don't forget about this, needs to signal that the essay is drawing to a close, needs to somehow remind us of the essay's main idea and main points. You don't want to repeat your thesis statement word for word, but it should in some way remind us what the whole essay was about. It needs to leave us with a final thought of some sort, and it should not, under any circumstances, introduce new ideas or new information. If you're leaving us with something to think about, that's different. But you shouldn't suddenly be including information that really should have gone in the body of the essay, right? No new information, right? Don't forget about your sentence skills either. Do your best to make sure that you have clear, effective sentences, which means make sure that you're not getting too wordy, make sure you're not using any useless repetition, no clutter words, no cliches, make sure you don't have any misplaced or dangling modifiers. Try to combine your sentences to show sort of elevated thoughts and writing skills, but when you do that, make sure that you don't have any sentence fragments, and make sure you don't have any run-on sentences or comma splices. Okay, go back and review those primary mechanics lessons real quick if you're unsure of any of these things. Right? Voice and tone, right? This is not a formal APA research paper that you're writing for the final exam, but it is a college level essay. So you want to sound like you. So you don't want to be too stuffy or robotic, too formal, but also be appropriate. Remember, this, you should be showing who you are as a student and professional. And oftentimes that means sounding a little bit different than what we sound like in casual conversation. Even I sound different in casual conversation. I have a very, I know that I need a very different, not very, but I need a specific type of tone and voice when I'm writing something that, a specific audience is going to read. So make sure that don't drop the ball on that. It's still an academic essay, even though it's not formal APA research or anything like that. Okay? Alright, so be sure to complete the outline for the final exam and watch the video that's located in the instructions. Once you choose which paragraph you're going to use to turn into your essay, go back and review that lesson. If it's the evaluation paragraph you're going to use, that lesson's in week 5. If it's the compare and contrast paragraph you're going to use, that lesson is in week 6. Go back and review the sample essays that you just read for homework, right? Chili Time, Parenting 101, or Singapore and Trinidad. Use my feedback on your paragraph, to help you sort of envision what your essay should look like. Review the lessons in weeks 7 and 8 to make sure that you're doing everything that you're supposed to do for your introductory paragraph, your thesis statement, your body paragraphs, and your concluding paragraph. And then when it actually comes time to do the essay, make sure you have a copy of that outline that you did for homework, because you can then use it when you actually type the essay. That will come in handy, especially, if you turned it in time to get my feedback on the outline. I'm going to tell you, this is great. You should definitely structure your essay this way. Or I might have said, it looks like you're getting, this topic sentence isn't quite right, or whatever. You're going to know that you need to work on that before you actually submit the final exam. But again, keep in mind everything that you are supposed to do if you're doing an evaluation essay, or remember everything you're supposed to do if you're writing a compare-contrast essay, but also remember all the basics of essay writing and do your best. Right, if you have any questions about any of this, let me know. Otherwise, you guys are free to move on.